Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Now Reality Podcast with Lady Colleen Heller. And today's guest is once again our favorite
Kaci Gurl Duke.
Gurl Duke. Yes, indeed. We're back again. Looking forward to another conversation where you're all invited to listen and feel free to comment. We are always reading whatever is sent. And if there's a podcast title you may want to offer up, we're happy to talk about all kinds of things. So just let us know, right, Kaci?
Yep, spot on.
So today we're talking about emotional pathways. Sounds very technical, but we're going to make it very simple and kind of address how the emotional body is one of the most important and most neglected bodies that we house. What do you think, Case? Good topic?
Good topic, technical in a different way, since I like techie sci-fi. So
She's so techie sci-fi. You know, if I could put her in a Star Wars uniform and do this, she'd be much happier than.
well, Star Wars, Star Trek, Will Wheaton. I am going through X-Men because Wolverine and Deadpool are coming out. So then I did that, and next I'm doing like X-Men like chronological.
Case. Emotional bodies, come back. This is what happens with Kaci Girl. Okay.
All right, ready for the first question?
I'm ready. Let's do it together. Go, girl. What is it?
Okay. What's an emotional body and why should we claim it?
Um, what's an emotional body and why should we claim it? So we all are aware of thoughts and our mental capacity and our mental awareness. We're all aware of our gut and our immune system. We're being taught that now, and the relationship between the mind and your gut. They talk to each other and tell each other what they need. But what we don't talk about much is the emotional body, which has its own mindset surrounding all heart issues, and everything that deals with emotions deals with feelings. If you don't accept that there is a relationship between those three, although we know there's more, but we're talking about emotional body today, so we're going to stay within that. If we don't accept that or understand that, respect that, we will always have issues that come up from the past, from an emotional, say, outburst from somebody else or betrayal or something's come to you. And that past information will come forward and you'll have an emotional reaction from that, not from what's right in front of you. Sometimes we react unpredictably and surprisingly, and that is because our emotional body has not been respected and understood for a long time. So I think the question of what is an emotional body is there, but why we should claim it is so that we can live healthier lives and not react in negative terms for long periods of time.
Yeah, and I'm just having this realization. I just had a brief conversation this morning with my friend about
Okay.
my brother and how we're both in protection mode from our upbringing and trying to just go out to eat or go bowling and trying to plan something. My life is a little different than his life, so we have harsher reactions, and I try not to.
But they are going to happen because you have
Yeah,
history. And then this
yeah,
is not just for your family members. This
yeah.
is for anything that crosses your path that you are overreacting to. It is not necessarily from the moment you're in.
Yeah.
Often the past and from different parts of your body will be involved in it because our emotional body is physical and we store different parts of anger, grief, sadness, happiness, marriages, deaths, betrayal, whatever, in different parts of our bodies.
Yeah.
So what's the next
Can emotions be trapped in our bodies? We were just talking about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. There definitely absolutely can. If you can remember that sometimes you think of something and your stomach hurts and you're like, I don't know why my stomach hurts so much, or oh my head's killing me. I'm thinking too much. No, not necessarily. It could be something that's happened in your past to these areas, or in the moments where you can't release the stress of whatever it is, your body will find space and it will store it there until it gets the moment to release it. But if we're not aware that we have this emotional body that has that much control over us, and we actually have control with it, joint, things get stuck.
And that goes back to disease, but that can go into way deeper conversation.
Yeah, it can.
So what is the difference between those feelings and emotions? Because we have feelings and emotions. Emotions are trapped in our body, but then that goes back to bringing it kind of like thinking more about it.
So I think feelings are emotions. Feelings come from emotions. If you are angry, you'll feel tense and upset, and it's a feeling, right? You don't feel your emotions, the word itself, you express. So feelings are reactions to an emotion, right? I mean,
I like that.
yeah.
Makes
So
it clear.
it's clear. So whatever you are having happen, like let's say you're sad and your dog comes over and gives you a snuggle, you have a lot of things going on right there. You have, I'm sad, and your feeling of sadness, and then you have this joy to alleviate that. So you've got the sadness going off, and then you have the joy filling up. So you're making a cycle with feelings, but it's affecting the emotional body.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Full circle.
Yes. And we do it all the time through the day. We do it millions of times, but we're not focused on it. We're not conscious of it. So sometimes when we overreact and then we realize we're really in it, why am I so upset? And then you think, why am I so upset? You all of a sudden that separation comes very quickly and you drop back from being so upset to why calmness comes in, and then you are allowed to understand the answer. Maybe not right away, but usually it stops the intensity.
Which those automatic subconscious, as we are talked about in past discussions about the grounding and being calm, being centered, then you're in it and you're aware of it versus not being aware of it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think that is one of the best things of understanding more about VAST. And through our insight classes, people are often teaching us that the truths of what I'm saying, or the truths of what we're saying, are in fact the truths. And it can only happen when people are talking about it. They're expressing, this is what I'm doing. And someone says, well, remember your da-da-da happened? And isn't it similar to this? And they go, oh, yes, it is similar. And that's why I have so much upset for, yes, because you never actually address the emotional body from the onset of the last interaction of negativity or grief or sorrow. And that stacks.
Yeah, it goes on top of each other. So leading into the next question, what can be said about our thoughts to help heal the emotional body?
You know, it's kind of interesting. The self-healing body is always working. And the hindrance to the self-healing body is mindset. It's not did you eat the right kimchi today? Although we do need to have kimchi and sauerkraut. I know you don't like it. You need a spoonful a day. You don't need a lot. But your thought on how you should be will affect your emotional body. It affects your gut. You can think your gut into pain. You can think your gut out. It's kind of interesting. If you ever test it. Oh, I'm feeling like this and that. Okay, I'm not. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to be fine. And then all of a sudden you are. Well, how did that happen? That's your emotional body responding to your thoughts. So I think a thought pattern is 100% related to your overall value in life, whether it's in self-healing or it's self-producing or just working a 9 to 5. Definitely in child rearing. What do you think?
Well, for a second, I have to go back to the kimchi and the sauerkraut. Is that probiotics or prebiotics?
Well, kimchi feeds the gut bacteria, the gut flora. I call them pre, but there's
Pre.
enough in it to be pro. So they're kind of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're doing with kimchi or the sauerkraut is actually making the whole gut area happy to use the bacteria that needs to be there and not killing it off or and packing it in. Once it dies, it just sits there. You know, you need flow, you need action, you need movement in the whole entire system. And that happens from simply using kimchi every day. Yeah, it's spicy. Yeah, it's okay. And also, or sauerkraut, both of them organic and refrigerated. If you buy them on a shelf, they have no value. You have to buy the ones that are refrigerated.
And I guess because I try to go with my gut health and stuff, but I think that leads back as we're talking about our thoughts and our how our body is sensing it and where are you feeling it. Because some people do, and then if you don't have that realization, you don't.
You know what's interesting about the gut health in general and the emotional bodies that connect? If you are feeling headachy or crappy or you're in a bad mood for too long, what's wrong? Why don't I have any energy? Just go eat some kimchi or some sauerkraut. Your gut is telling your emotional body, we're dragging down now. You gonna do something or I'm gonna make you sleep. And then you'll be depressed, and then you'll be sad, or you won't react properly. It's a simple determination. Is it my gut's my problem, or is there something else? Because that gut area is, sometimes I think our brains and our minds create, but our gut's reaction can be stored for longer. The reaction can be longer. Like if I have a bad gut, something I think I ate, and then I'll go have kimchi and baking soda, whatever, to settle out my system. And it changes in 15 minutes. Well, we know for sure I'm not paying attention to my gut, and I need to start doing that. I have to start thinking gut health because it is all conscious. It's a conscious choice, but we do have to look at the clues that we're given. I mean, you want to be healthy and happy and have a great life. There's little tiny things to make a difference in that. Yeah.
Yeah, one step at a time.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
so on to the next question. We're talking tears streak our faces when we are upset, surprised, or happy. Why?
So tears are the most neglected and most important release points on the entire body for emotional relief, 100%. Tears, when you're sad and you cry, you feel sad still, but there's something about refreshing that happens to you. You'll cry, but you'll feel when you finished it, okay, I feel better because I cried. Well, what are you doing when you're crying? You're releasing negative emotion trapped somewhere in your body, triggered by some event that's happening to you. Now, when you have somebody that cries, that gets really crying into it, and they're like really deeply upset and deeply crying over, I stubbed my toe. All right. So, you know, when you're watching that, this is not about her stubbed toe or his stubbed toe. There's something way deeper that this triggered. We don't need to know what that is, but we need to know that's happening. And the same thing for the person experiencing it. When you know that you are well overreacting, you must let your mind go. Don't think about what it is. It will show you what it is. It'll start bringing up pictures or visions or words or people's faces. They will merge up because why? You're letting off so much tears, so much emotion through those tears that the deeper reasons will get a chance to emerge. Remember, the body and the universe, it doesn't like empty spaces. When you start crying like that, you are opening up vast amounts through the emotional body. So what does it want to do? It wants to get it up and out. And there's places for things to now exit. And then you'll fill back up with a quiet of, from the chaos comes the calm. And that's what they'll feel. And usually people go to sleep after they cry that hard. Right?
Right. But then what about being surprised or happy?
Well, let's say you are, let's say someone come up and they shocked you. Oh, surprise. Or you go to a surprise party and you're like, oh, surprise. And you're not aware of it. So the first thing happens is it's a hit. It's not, oh, I'm so happy. No, it's like, it's a shock, right? All through
Hmm.
your life, you've had shocks to get you on path. If you put your hand in a fire, you get shocked, you burn, but you're shocked
Hmm.
and you cry. If you have somebody that comes behind you and pushes you, you'll fall, but you'll fall while you're shocked. And that
Right.
shock, when you hit, you'll tear, you'll cry right up. Shocking tears are just as valuable, but I don't think anyone should go around doing that. I'm just saying, you'll get the same response as wicked crying will do. But you also swallow on a shock. It's not the best way. So if you do get hit, you go, and now you've pushed it down. Because if you don't cry, now you have another place. So it's not always the best way, but crying from shock is from a long, long time since you've been born, of things that have shocked you into understanding, let's say, or into care, or to fight and flight, or like I said, putting your hand on fire. Tears
So I
of
think that's,
joy. Oh, I'm sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, tears of joy, the happiness. That's okay because there's upset, surprise, no happy.
Okay, so what do you think? After all this information, you must have some idea.
I just think you're in the moment and you're just so overwhelmed with joy, bliss, or all that. It's just like it's that like oh, you have to let it go so that you can experience it.
I agree. And also, again, the emotional body has memories of things that gave you great joy. And usually,
Hmm.
I mean, if you think of, you're at a wedding. I mean, I cry at weddings. I don't even know the people. So why
Hmm.
am I crying at a wedding? All the
Why am
feelings
I?
I have about it show up. Go ahead.
Why do I cry at Hallmark?
Hallmark movies. Let's talk about those. Oh my God, Kaci. I mean, I really have to watch Hallmarks now because of you. It's like I don't want to, but
I
it's like,
love it.
let's look because Kaci loves it so much. So I do watch them and I'm going, they're so drippy. And there's like
But
nothing happening.
you cry at the end of it. It's just like this.
I
Oh, anyway,
do. I cry at the end of those. And
there you
like
go.
if I'm watching any sports and people are succeeding, I cry at that. I cry at marching bands.
Oh, there you
When
go.
I hear marching band, I'm just like, I just let it fall. And I feel so good. But what happens is, remember, in all of these scenarios we're talking about, there's vibratory fields that are coming at you from different levels. Sadness has its own, happiness has its own, shock has its own. They're like
Hmm.
different levels of vibratory fields. When I'm listening to a band, a marching band, or music that turns me into a babbling brook, it's because the level that's hitting me is something that's correcting something for me. I'm
Yeah.
able to center back out. And to do that, you have to let go. You have to release. And since we're going to talk about this now, I know it's going to come up later, but since we're taught, especially young boys, be a man, don't cry, men don't cry, and children, you're overreacting, don't cry, you just skinned your knee, just be quiet. You know, we were taught how we're supposed to respond to emotional issues. A lot of them are swallowing, right? And when you get older, you decide, well, screw that, I'm going to be emotional if I want to be, and you allow it, you're letting up things from your past that have been buried for so long that you were told not to allow. You were told not to choose to cry. And if you did cry, you're put away to the room or go sit there until you're better. Like nobody wants to see you cry. It's like, that's harsh and it's harsh on children, but we do it and I think it's still being done, you
Mhm.
know.
Which I think all this leads to are how are tears helpful. I think you kind of went through that through all of this, and there's more to expand on.
I think if you think about tears,
Hmm.
let's say you're just watching some movie and you really love the movie and it's moved you and you're just having tears just streak down your face, right?
Hmm.
So this came to me just the other day, actually. And I think I read you what I wrote. I did read you what I wrote about it. And I was watching this movie and the woman was crying and she had makeup on, right? So
Yeah.
as she was crying, she was making streaks. Now I've seen this all my life. I've seen people streak their makeup, but it was sort of like, pay attention. The tears this person's giving off are causing pathways on her face.
Mm.
She has pathways, not not yeah, she's crying and she's tearing, but she's making all these designs, and it reminded me of the Aborigines who
Hmm.
who who made pathways from their traveling from one side of Australia to the other. And all of them weaved and woven this way. Not everyone was the same, but they listened to the sounds and the emotion of the land so they could get to the other side, because there was no roads, nothing. It was just, I need to get over there and I'll go till I get there. And they would follow the lilt of the land, the sound of the land, the trees that are well, there's not many trees, but whatever is whistling or rustling, they'd follow the sounds and then they would mark their way. And I thought of her face and that she was marking her way of how she came to be on her face. I found it expanded my whole view on pathways through tears and how important they are and how much they let us say who we were and who we are and how we adjust in and out of that through just letting them fall. You don't have to wipe your teeth, you don't have to rub them away, you don't have to stop them. Let them fall. Let them show you what they want to show you while they're releasing things that you need to release from your emotional body and in your meat itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really profound for me, that understanding. It's like, how come I never thought of that before? You know, I'm always, here's the tissue, wipe your face, blow your nose. No, yeah, blow your nose. Blow your nose. But let your tears show you. You know, that must be a fascinating study. You know, if you have a lot of different people crying with powdered faces or whatever, and look at them, I would love to see 300 people, 400 people, and how their pathways are similar, who've had similar lifestyles versus not, who haven't had the same lifestyles. I mean, it would be fascinating for me. What do you think of that idea?
Intense.